Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. I got some news tonight. I can't believe it because we were just talking about this, probably a couple weeks ago. Sorry, the lighting is going to be a little bit fuzzy. My wife and daughter are in here. They're not feeling very good, just laying down. We don't want the main the main light on, so I'm gonna have to look kind of weird like this. Let me see if I can adjust the contrast really quick. Hopefully this won't mess anything up. Oh wait, I know. This is what I do. How's you guys' Saturday going? Let's turn down the contrast. Maybe turn down the brightness. There's basically nothing I can do. That's maybe a little bit better. Okay, Izzy's equine says, good, the elders just left. Oh, that's great. I love it when the missionaries come over. We would always have, when we were in Arizona, we would always have them over for like Thanksgiving, and it was always good. And we love it when the missionaries come over. And what's funny is because before moving here to Kansas, whenever they asked if they could help us with anything, we never did have anything that we needed help with, really. But now that we're in here in Kansas and we have a homestead, there's like never ending things that we need help with. Sometimes it's moving broken branches to a wood pile or clearing out bricks or whatever. It never ends. Sissy K says, I'm sick with a stomach bug. Oh, with like a emoji. Yeah, that's what you basically have, like a stomach bug, huh, honey? Yeah. I'm still not feeling the best. My cough is getting better. I mean, like the cough that I got from like that sickness. I still have that like little dry cough, which I'm going to be seeing about when I go see my primary care in a week or two. I can't remember exactly when. I don't think we're going to be going to church tomorrow. Izzy's equines, yes, me too. They come over a lot because my husband is a non-member. They're going to come do some farm stuff in a few weeks. Well, that's always good, because most of them are probably city boys, right? Debbie Fifita says, hi, Debbie from Utah. Hi, Debbie. And then the Russian, again, tell me how to pronounce it. I think it's something like, I think like the last part is like Wisha or something like that, isn't it? You get the crown flu. No, I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe. Amy Fulmer, I'm in the Orem Rec Center to walk as sciatica has set in. That's the worst. So this is my entertainment. Well, hopefully that goes away. Babo Quivari 108 JMJM. Boy, what a name. SoCal, Babylon, in the house. Amber Hardy, have you ever read Michael Rush's book? Okay. I'm not getting upset at you, Amber. No, I haven't read it. No. I am familiar with Ezra Ziegel. Earlier today, I was asking for suggestions of who to interview, and I was mostly looking for non-LDS people. That's mostly what I'm interested in. And there were a couple people that wanted me to interview Michael B. Rush, and thank you. And he comes up pretty frequently in the comments, and that's great. I know that a lot of you guys are Michael B. Rush people. I am not. And today some people were kind of like rebuttaling me. I explained why I didn't want to talk to him, mostly just because we are literally worlds apart. Okay. He is on planet Risa right now, and I am not there. And as far as like our interpretations go, and I just don't feel like anything would come of it. I'm already familiar with his interpretation of scriptures and stuff like that. And I know that you want to like see us like talk things out and like whatever, but it seems like I just can't get the point across like during the entirety of my channel. Okay, imagine that you are a music artist, okay? Say that you were a band, an awesome band like Stone Temple Pilots or Hootie and the Blowfish or maybe Oingo Boingo, and people kept coming to you and they're like, "Hey, why don't you hook up with Vanilla Ice or the Backstreet Boys or 98 Degrees or Nickelback or Limp Bizkit?" And you see how it doesn't work. Okay, Hootie and the Blowfish does not go with Limp Bizkit. Stone Temple Pilots does not go with the Backstreet Boys. So maybe in some small way, this will help you understand why I don't want to interview him. I'm not interested. I already know his thoughts and I'm not interested in hashing that out. On top of that, a lot of people get kind of upset when they hear my views about the 10 lost tribes, the Antichrist, the 144,000, New Jerusalem, on and on and on and on. And I'm not interested in stoking those flames. Okay. I'm sure that me and him would have a great, respectful conversation. I know that he probably has a strong testimony, but as far as how the end days play out, we are literally worlds apart as far as Risa and somewhere else. Okay. Tatooine. Okay. So, but I have a playlist about, about Ezra's Eagles. So go check that out. Delise Music. Good evening from BC, Canada, British Columbia, Canada. Jared, glad to hear you are feeling better. Hope you're getting completely over this soon. I don't know about that. Wisha or whatever. My name is Greg Fesia. I was Russian linguist in the Navy. Cool. We had somebody in our, singles ward, but I knew him before the singles ward that he ended up going on his mission. I think it was to Estonia or maybe it was Latvia. It was probably Latvia. And he went into the Navy and became like an interpreter or linguist. So that's cool. Glenda Wheeler, we are all falling apart. Yes, we are. And it's probably because of the secret combinations. Speaking of secret combinations, let's talk about Jimmy Carter. So I just saw this today. Let me put it on the screen here. Former President Jimmy Carter to spend, quote unquote, remaining time at home receiving hospice care. Now, why is this interesting? Well, if you've been watching the channel for a little bit, you'll recall that just a few weeks ago, I had done a few videos about the oldest living people. How there's a lot of the oldest living this or that that are dying right now. They're all within months of each other. So let's see. Let's go back to the first one I'm aware of in this grouping of people is you have Shinzo Abe, who was assassinated age 67. He was Japan's longest serving prime minister. Okay, so if you're new to this concept, and I'm not saying that it is anything, I'm just saying that it's very odd. You have all these kings, presidents, leaders of their respective fields, or nations or churches or whatever, that are like the longest living of their kind that are dying. And so what this has made me think about is how we're about to experience a change, right? Where we're going from a world of empires, a world of nations, and we're moving into an age when Christ comes where there's just one kingdom and Christ is king, right? And righteousness reigns. There's no more secret combinations. There's no more wars. Everything's united, right? And you think about Daniel and King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the statue that represents the worldly empires and kingdoms, and how it's basically a timeline from the time of the Babylonian captivity until modern day. And God took a stone formed without hands from a mountain, and it's coming down the mountain, and it's going to destroy the statue, meaning that Worldly kingdoms and nations are coming to an end. Okay? Coming to an end. So, has that happened yet? No, not really. But could this be a foreshadowing of that? Yes. So the way I look at these deaths is that they could be foreshadowing symbols of their respective nations and whatever. So in this case, we have Shinzo Abe of Japan. So a symbol of Japan, the longest serving prime minister, was assassinated. Right. I did a video about that. In fact, it may have been a live stream, as a matter of fact. I can't remember. I want to say it may have been a live stream. But anyway, that was back in July of last year. Okay. And then a couple or 1 month later, or the year at, yeah, what? Well, no, look at that. I didn't realize that till just now. Look, the 8th of July and the 8th of August. Oh, I did not realize that till just now. So exactly 1 month later, President Nelson becomes the longest living apostle in this Latter-day dispensation. Okay, that's according to like going by months and days, not just years, not just by his birthday. So that's interesting. Okay, exactly 1 month later, he becomes the longest living apostle in the Latter-day dispensation. Okay. Excuse me. 5 days after that, there's the meteor and the large boom over Salt Lake. And then later that month, you have Mikhail Gorbachev, who died at age 91. He was the longest living leader of the Soviet Union. Okay, so we're starting to we have some major players right now. We have Japan. Japan was one of the two, well, not one of the two, but one of the major Axis powers during World War II, right? They've been important in modern times, and they have a strong economy. They're basically a Western country, even though they're like as far east as you can go. So you have Japan, and now you have the Soviet Union, which I don't need to tell you was a very powerful, important political entity during the last century, right? One of the biggest conflicts was the Cold War, right? Which was a series of proxy wars and then spying and threat of nuclear weapons and all sorts of stuff, right? The Soviet Union. So Japan, Soviet Union. Okay. And then a few days after that, about a week after that, Queen Elizabeth II dies at age 96. She was the longest reigning British monarch, second longest reigning sovereign worldwide. So out of all kings or queens of the entire world, regardless of nation, she was the second longest reigning of all time, behind French King Louis the 14th. Okay. The UK has had its own empire, right? They were an important player in World War I, World War II, the Cold War, and they're still important. In fact, Russia has threatened them with nuclear annihilation via nuclear radioactive tsunami. So they're still a power player. Japan, Soviet Union, the UK. Oh, and by the way, so where is it? Oh, yeah. Okay. This is the next thing. So the day after that, after she dies, President Nelson has his birthday. And if you're going by years, he becomes the oldest prophet and apostle of the Latter-day dispensation. That is so unlikely. In my mind, that is so unlikely. Like, seriously, the day after she dies, he has his birthday? Are you serious? Okay, so that happens. And then a day after his birthday, we have the largest earthquake of the year in Papua New Guinea, a 7.6. And then there's a twin earthquake 9 days later in Mexico, which happened on the same day as two previous really large earthquakes on the exact same day in Mexico. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. Let's continue on. Let's see. We have all these heavenly signs. Okay, now November 30th. Jiang Zemin, or Zemin, whatever, passes away at age 96, the longest living president of China and leader of the Chinese Communist Party. So now we got China. Like all the big players, like these symbols symbolized in these people of these world powers, they're all dying around the same time. Okay, after that, December 11th, this is smaller, but you have Abigail Kawananakoa, who was the last Hawaiian princess. She passed away at 96 years old. So supposedly, like if they had a monarchy that had survived, she would have been like the last one. We did a video on that, and there's like a couple other, like another person at least that claims that they would have been, but that's how the story played out in the newspapers. It was her. She was the last Hawaiian princess. Okay. After that, let's see. We have Pele, and he had the nickname King of Soccer, right? Even I know about Pele, and I don't give a crap about soccer. Like I've never really cared about it, except for Real Salt Lake for like a year or two. I was kind of like starting to get into it. But even someone that has like no anything for soccer, I knew about Pele and him being the king of soccer. And he passed away at the age of 82. Now, you may be like, well, this isn't on the same level as presidents and queens and stuff like that. Well, I think it is, because for some people, they don't care about their country or about geopolitics or anything like that. For them, the biggest thing in their life is sports or music. In fact, pretty soon here, I'll show you someone from music that passed away. Okay, now, one of the weirder things is on the last day of the year, December 31st, we had Pope Emeritus Benedict, the 16th, right? Yeah, X and then VIS 16th. So okay, so he had stepped down as Pope, but it still counts. And I've looked this up in articles. He was the longest living Pope of all time. Now that's really saying something, because the Catholic Church basically goes back, if you look at their history, according to them, they go all the way back 2,000 years and then some. So for that entire 2 millennia, he is the longest living Pope, and he's dying at the same time as these other, longest living people of their countries and sports and stuff like that. And it was on the 31st, as though he was not supposed to see whatever this next year brings. That's kind of like possibly a clue as to what this year is going to be like. Okay, and then January 10th, it continues. The last king of Greece, Constantine II, passes away. Now, he had been in exile for a long time. He had been banished from his country, but he still was the last Greek king. And there's not going to be another one, most likely. Passes away at age 82. 2 days later, you have Lisa Marie Presley. She was known as the Princess of Rock because, right, her father, Elvis Presley, he was the king of rock. So she passed away at the age of 45 or 54, and she would have been a symbol of music and the music industry. And, oh my gosh. And then on January 17th, we had Lucille Randon, who passes away at 118 years old in 340 days. So at the time, she was the longest living, or not the longest living. She was the oldest person on Earth at the time that she passed away. And it so happens that she's the longest living nun of all time. Now, you guys, the Catholic Church has wielded a lot of power throughout the centuries and throughout the millennia. They are a power player in the world. They are, and they still are today. In fact, we just looked at this the other day. Abrahamic Family House. It was their idea to do this thing in the United Arab Emirates, where they're doing this like complex, bringing together the three Abrahamic religions. This one's a Christian church. This one's a mosque, and then this one is a synagogue. Right? They're very wealthy. They have a lot of power, a lot of influence, even to this day. Okay, so you have both. You have the longest living pope and the longest living nun, and they die this close together. Come on with it. Come on with it. Okay, so that ends the list. Now, I had after doing other videos about this, I had talked about the fact that I looked at the U.S. and it turned out that Jimmy Carter is the longest living U.S. president. But at that time, it seemed like he was doing just fine. You know, his birthday and President Nelson's birthday are not too far apart. Let's see. When was Jimmy Carter born? He was born October 1st, 1924. Excuse me. And President Nelson was born in September of the same year. So you have the prophet of God on the earth that was born in the same year as the longest living U.S. president. And just now, as of today, we get news that Jimmy Carter is going to hospice care. And of all days, it's the 18th today. We've been talking about 17 and 18 for a while on the channel. Now, I haven't read the details here, so I want to read through this a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Former president, actually, let me make sure the live stream, everything's going okay over there. Yeah, okay, everything's good. Former President Jimmy Carter will spend his quote-unquote remaining time at home receiving hospice care instead of receiving additional quote-unquote medical intervention. So like I put in the thumbnail, he's on his way out pretty soon here. He's probably going to be joining the rest of these people. He's going to be joining Japan, the Soviet Union, the Catholic Church, Greece, Hawaii, China. Like, holy cow. Okay. The Carter Center announced Saturday, quote, a series of short hospital stays from U.S. President Jimmy Carter today decided to spend his remaining time at home with his family and receive hospice care instead of additional medical intervention. A statement from the organization reads, he has the full support of his family and his medical team. The Carter family asks for privacy during this time and is grateful for the concern shown by his many admirers. Okay. Let's see. Carter turned 98 in October. He was the 39th president of the United States. That's kind of an interesting number because we know that 40 is the number of testing and trial and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Hold on for a second. I'm sorry. Somebody, please. He pooped over there. And it's overpowering. Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. Sorry. Do it really fast. It's nasty. Oh my gosh, these freaking cats. Okay, the former commander-in-chief was diagnosed with cancer in early 2015 after doctors performed liver surgery, according to a statement from the Carter Center, which made it clear that his cancer spread to other parts of his body. Speaking of cancer, there's a subscriber to this channel. Her name is Natalie. I'd like to bring her up again. She has cancer. It turned out to be worse than what they initially thought. And she basically doesn't have a whole lot of time left. At best, a few years. So please say a prayer for her, if you don't mind. Maybe right now, just a quick little prayer. In fact, I will do a little commercial and you can mute it and then say the prayer. Okay, here we go. Insert ad. Okay. Am I back? I can't tell. It doesn't like give me like a timer or anything. Fernando Hernandez says, but he's 39, not 40. Well, I know. Like once he passes away, we'll be at 40. It's like 40 is the number of testing. It's like we get to the point of 40, it's over. Okay, so let's continue here. You guys can hear me, right? I can't tell if the commercial's over. Put a O if the commercial's over and you can hear me. And tell me how long it was. Was it like 15 seconds, 30 seconds? We'll just wait for a second. Okay, a bunch of O's. How long was it? All right, well, that's fine. I'll continue. In December 2015, Carter told his Sunday school class that he no longer has cancer. Okay, so that's probably enough about that. So let's talk about it. Amy Fulmer says 20 seconds. Melanie Hessler says 20 seconds. Gosh, it would be really nice if they gave me like a timer so I could know. Yeah, I want to see how many people are in the stream right now. Got 99 people. Okay, so let's talk about it. What do you guys think? Are you guys in agreement that these deaths of these longest living people, that it's significant that they're all dying within months or within a year of each other? Like that just doesn't seem right. It seems like it's statistically very unlikely. Okay, Russian says Blaine was in my wife's stake high council growing up. Oh, you must be talking to somebody else. Shay Goodwin, lucky me, no ads. Betty Horton says yes. Shay Goodwin, glad to be here though. Never caught a live before. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you got to this time. Amy Fulmer, wouldn't have known if it weren't for your research. Yes. Yeah, and I don't know how. I guess it all started with Queen Elizabeth because it was so shocking to me. I had wondered many times throughout my life, when is she going to pass away? She's old. And it would be so weird to have a king of England because all I ever knew was Queen of England in my lifetime. So that's really what got the ball rolling. And then I started noticing these other deaths. Sherry Ware, I don't believe in coincidences. God is over all. Yeah, I'm like you. I got an email recently from somebody where they were like, not everything is symbolic. Not everything is this. And, that's true. But I think with like bigger things that many people observe, it probably is, and I don't know exactly like how it works. Like maybe not everything is a sign, but when you think about the order of God, he does things in patterns. And like, for example, you go to the temple and you're looking at the wallpaper or maybe the pattern in the carpet, and it's just like a pretty elegant, ornate pattern, right? You have like different things going on that repeat. And sometimes I wonder if like the smaller things in life that seem to be coincidental, they're not, because they're part of a pattern, and they may not necessarily be an explicit sign of things to come, but they may fit into a pattern. Does that make sense? I wouldn't be surprised. It's just like music. Music has to be in a certain pattern for it to sound good. And so when you look at events that take place, both big and small, I wouldn't be surprised if after this life we look back and we're like, oh my gosh, everything was so organized in such in perfect order, right? So that's why I tend to be more like when I see things happen, like in 2021, when a guy gets swallowed by a whale, something that you don't really hear of except for in the Bible with Jonah. And then just like a month later, you have the Champlain Tower that collapses and the first survivor that's pulled out. His name is Jonah and he's a Jewish boy. It's like, come on. How do those two things happen so close together? That's like so statistically unlikely. A man being swallowed by a whale. When was the last time you heard of a man being swallowed by a whale? Okay. Melanie Hessler. Yes, the older ones as well as much younger people lately. Fernando Hernandez, 46,000 deaths in, oh my gosh, 46 now. What did I last put? Let's see. What did I last put on here? Okay, the last number that I put was 42,000 deaths from the Turkey earthquake. 46? Are you kidding me? Well, I mean, there was that article that we saw that they projected 50,000. Let's see. List of earthquakes. Wikipedia. No, not that one. Oh, for heaven's sake. 2023. Let's see what they have on Wikipedia right now, because this is the number I mostly go by. 47? Okay, so on Wikipedia they have 47. 4738. Okay, I guess I'll be updating that. 47 38. Holy cow. That is insane. Let's update the earthquake tab. Just so I don't forget. 47. Oops. 38. 47. 38. Oh, yikes. Yikes, 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 yikes. Okay. Let's go back to the second coming timeline. Okay. Thanks for the update, Fernando. Amy Fulmer, I think you have a sixth sense. Thank you. I'm not so sure about that, but I really do think that sometimes I get promptings to like look certain places and then I find certain information, or it's just you guys sending me information. Like I have a lot of different resources. Melissa Foster, my mom is a temple worker and they told her that the endowment is now 18 minutes longer. Coincidence? Probably not. Betty Horn, absolutely. Melanie Hessler, life is a series of patterns. Yeah. Dayston says, oh, 2 commercials. So weird. I don't understand how that thing works. David Ramos says, the oldest French president, Giscard d'Estaing, died in 2020. I might put that down. I mean, Benjamin, careful. Hey, he's gonna fall in that poop. We have cats that are like not using their litter box, and we got to like probably get another one. The Russian says Turkey is flooding now. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to look at that later. Melanie Hessler, like the earthquake causing Moroni to drop his trumpet. Yeah, there's no way that was a coincidence. There's no way. Especially because of the date. As the pandemic is starting. And then last year on the mirror date, so the trumpet fell on March 18th, and then the mirror date of that last year was August 13th, and that's when there was the boom over Utah. One of those signs is of going silent, angel dropping his trump. It's quiet. Missionary work kind of grinds to a standstill, more or less. The temples close. And then April General Conference of last year, they do a big call up and a mobilization of missionaries. And then in August, there's a big boom on the mirror date over Salt Lake. I do think that those two things are connected. And it's pretty clear what it means, that the time of the adversary stopping the work of God is over, and now we're going full speed ahead. Most likely as we go into the second coming itself. I would assume. Daniel Sutton, yes, if you really do a thorough research, I believe you find that everything is tied together in God's purpose. Yep. Jean Marie Fogarty, Universe. One song, it's all in harmony. Yeah. And the thing about it, when we think about reality, we think about the universe, there's definitely harmony. And one thing that's always interested me when I watch near-death experiences, and let me clarify, I know that there are people that are just flat out lying when they tell near-death experiences. They're fakers. They want some cheap attention, or they want to sell books. But I feel like if you use common sense and you know how to read people and you can discern between narcissists and regular people, sometimes you can tell if someone's being sincere. And I do think that near-death experiences happen. Some of them, a lot of them actually kind of report this idea of like really beautiful music. Like being part, like they themselves being a part of like a really big, grand, eternal symphony, you know, and like adding their own, I hate using this word, but their own vibrations to, you know, to this, the eternal symphony. And I think that's probably right. That kind of resonates with me. No pun intended. The Haystack, nice. Daystan, it's cliche, but there are no coincidences. Agreed. Melanie Hessler, yes to Daniel S. The Russian, the Spirit World mission is getting very busy. Yeah. I'll tell you something weird that happened in my family, but it started more like in, I want to say like 2012. I have to look at the dates again, but like, I had my great grandma die on my dad's side. And then my dad's mom, my grandma, died. And then my dad died. And then my grandpa, my dad's father, died. And this was all within 2 years. All four of them left this earth within like 2 years of each other. And I was just like, what the heck? What? It makes no sense, because my great grandma was really old. She was in her 90s. I can't remember exactly how old, but she was like at least 92, maybe 94. And then my grandma and grandpa, they were both like baby boomers, and they were in their probably early 70s, because they had retired and they had a few good years of like vacationing and doing stuff, and then they passed away. So I guess they would have been like in their early 70s. And then my dad was in his early 50s when he passed away. So and all from all different things, you know, it wasn't just like one common thing. One was just old age. The other one was cancer. The other one was what's it called? Parkinson's disease. The other one was a heart attack. So it kind of makes me wonder if something's going on over there. Maybe people are needed over there right now. Or, you know, worst case scenario, maybe something else. I don't know. But it's just strange. The Haystack, did you notice after the earthquake that with Moroni, there was a ripple of quakes that came from there over the nation? Yeah, I don't know about that. I remember someone had sent me, I think it was Joe Signs, the one that donated my microphone to me. And thank you, Joe, if you're watching. He had mentioned a graphic that showed like a shockwave coming from the earthquake, but I think it turned out that that's just what happens with all earthquakes. They put together these animations where it shows the shockwaves, you know, rippling out like a drop of water in a pond. So I don't know, but if you have more information about that, let me know. Lauren Schockenmeyer says, I think it is statistically unlikely, and I am amazed at the number that are passing away in such a short time. yeah, and the thing that kind of like the common denominator between all of them is two things: that they're the longest living of their type, you know, queens, presidents, whatever, and they symbolize these really big, powerful um, uh, things like countries or sports or music. These are power players, and the things that they symbolize are places of power, wealth, entertainment. It's so weird. And now Jimmy Carter, you know, I don't want to get like too political, or I'm not trying to like disparage any countries or anything, but you think about, you know, China, you think about China, you think about the Soviet Union, typically not really the best of forces in the world, right? Um, you think about the Vatican, you think about the UK, and I love the UK. I'm descended from the UK, Scottish and English and Welsh. Um, but the UK has caused a lot of turmoil in the world, especially during their imperial days. Not that it was all bad, but there was definitely a lot of like not good, you know. And then, so you have the Pope that dies on the last day of the year, and then you move into 2023, and some of like the lighter, more the better influences, maybe like you have a nun. There's no doubt to me that that nun was probably just pure of heart, a very good person. You know, you have the United States that has mostly been a good country throughout its entirety, mostly. And it's almost like with President Carter, like whenever he dies, it's almost certainly going to be this year, probably within the next few weeks, I would imagine, maybe months. It's like the U.S. sees this side of that divide between 2022 and 2023. That's just like something that's kind of on my mind. Janet Cripps from Sun City, Arizona. I used to live by there. I lived in Surprise, so it was always fun driving through Sun City, seeing everybody drive around on the golf carts, and it seemed like a very nice retirement city. It always got very busy during this time of year in the winter. Sun City, you guys, is a city. It's in the Phoenix metro area, and it was like a planned city by Del Webb, I want to say is the name of the company. And so they like basically do these like big retirement communities. But in this case, it's an actual city. It's large, and it's nothing but basically snowbirds for the most part, from like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and places like that. Caritzi 4, my cousin-in-law is dying at 99. Said 20 years ago his goal as a minister was to see all LDS temples turned down. Well, yeah, kind of the opposite has happened. So Shay Goodwin, another word you could use is frequency if you don't like to say vibration. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of the same thing. Whenever I think of vibration, energy, frequency, it always conjures ideas of like new age people and whatever. So, D Ward, hey Jared, been a while since I've caught you live. Been loving all your videos. We need to talk soon. Thinking about starting a channel. Awesome. Sounds good. Now I'm not doing any more interviews for like new channels because I've decided to kind of not do that anymore, but I don't mind promoting your channel and putting it under my featured channels. So email me. Shay Goodwin, this is a quote from Nikola Tesla. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And I do think that's absolutely true. I hate how those words have kind of been, I'd say, appropriated by the new age. Melissa Foster, what's your email again? I tried to look it up and was confused. It's in the description of each video. It's my.christian.homestead@gmail.com. And I had to go with my because Christian Homestead wasn't available. Amy Fulmer, what are your thoughts about Visions of Glory? I've talked about this before, but it's okay. I only talked about it one other time. I'm not a big fan of that. Like, if it's true, then fine. But I have doubts about that book. I have doubts for the same reason that I have doubts about people that have near-death experiences and are probably just like taking people for a ride. They just either want attention or they want to sell books. Because basically, from what I understand, I've never read the book. I've only heard a million people describe it. It's somebody that claims to, I think they claim to have had a near-death experience. I don't know, or multiple near-death experiences, which what I feel like I've noticed is people that claim to have had multiple near-death experiences, they're probably less and less likely to be trustworthy. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel. But Visions of Glory, it purports to be somebody that had a vision of the future and key events leading up to the second coming. And I don't think that the Lord works that way. He does with the prophet, maybe. It's the prophet's job to receive revelation for the entire world, but not individuals like whoever wrote Visions of Glory. And that person's identity is not known. So it's like an anonymous person. It's just really, it's fishy to me. It feels like somebody saw an opportunity to take advantage of people that, easily buy into things. And I'm not saying that you're someone that buys into things if you've read it, it was interesting to you, but there are predators out there. And I'm not saying that that person's a predator, but it just seems not right. I wouldn't expect anybody to receive like extensive visions of the future in great detail, the way that it's described in Visions of Glory, except for possibly the prophet himself. And even the prophet probably wouldn't have sweeping visions of the future like that. It doesn't really make sense to me. Lori Schnabel, Modern Pioneer, $10. Thank you. Super chat. You guys do not have to do super chats, by the way. I'm not doing live streams for super chats. Thank you. I do. In order to run this channel, I get enough from just the ad revenue on my videos. Like, that's fine. And then I offer the members only because YouTube was like, hey, start members only and we'll give you a bonus $500. And so I was like, okay. And so I occasionally add to the members only, but I do not need that. And I do not need super chats to be able to do this channel, but thank you. It's appreciated. Lori, before the super chat said, since 2017, I have had one family member die roughly every 18 months. My aunt in 17, my mom 18 months later in 18, my dad 17 months in 2020 before the pandemic, my brother 2021, which was 19 months, uncle 17 months. Well, I'm sorry for your losses, but that is mighty strange. So you've had kind of like a similar thing to what happened to me. It's so, I can't wait to see after this life and just like understand everything that was going on. Anyway, thank you, Laurie. Fernando Hernandez, U.S. isn't great either. They've caused a lot of turmoil around the world. No, that's true. But I mean, if you think about all empires, all powerful countries, they're probably among the best. Although I know there's a lot of secret combinations, I think, that have taken advantage of the power of the United States, but I don't attribute it to the U.S. itself, but to, bad actors. And that's probably the same with all these other countries too. David Ramos, after having names done at the temple for my wife's family, she started getting in touch with part of relatives in Ukraine she never met before. Families are reconnecting. Yeah. I really feel like a lot of things are happening with families right now. In fact, pretty soon I'm going to read some miracles that have been sent in to me via email. And I have no doubt that a lot of those miracles are going to center around reconnecting with family or things like that. Ute Dim says, why do I always think you look like MPMD? Who's MP? What's MPMD? That better not be an insult. MPMD. More plates, more dates. One stop shop. One stop shop for all things. I don't know what you're talking about. That's fine. Janet Cripps, we're here year round. Just moved from Hooper, Utah. Well, that's nice. I miss the Phoenix area. I love it there. I love it. I love Phoenix, but I'm happy here in Kansas. Okay. LaRive man or LaRivy man. Too bad is way liberal. Carter. Oh, yeah. You dem, don't talk to me about frequency or vibration unless you've had at least a surface level of understanding of physics. Lurvy, God has revealed what he wants us to know in the Bible. I mean, not everything. That we have science, we're expected to research things and learn and stuff like that. Not everything that he wants us to know is in the Bible. We're expected to learn as a species. As far as like salvation goes and prophecy in the future and the overall plan of salvation, yes, everything is in the scriptures. It's true. D. Ward said, visions of glory felt wrong to me when I read it. Yeah, I just, again, I'm not trying to like demean that person. It doesn't seem right. That's not something that happens. And it's not something that we're taught in church. There's an order to things. We just had a talk. Was it this last general conference from Elder Renland about, it's like receiving revelation. He used the metaphor of airports and runways and how you have your own runway that you land in. The prophet has his, bishops have theirs. You receive revelation for your respective sphere, right? Your, whatever is delegated to you, your family, your personal life, whatever, but you don't receive it for the entire world and for the church. So that's why it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Conrad, dream books are okay, but it's best for you to do your own dreaming. Your dreams are for you. Yeah, I would agree with that. S. Sace Shayla from Vegas. Heart your channel. Love your channel. My Czech father passed away last year and is helping me along with other people, both sides of the veil, find and enter our family and others. Over 5,000 names. Miracles. Jeez. That's great. The Russian says, the prophet Joseph Smith believes that the pre-flood heavens were much different than what we have now. He said the planets Saturn, Venus, and Mars were in the near polar sky above us. Oh, I think I've heard something about that before. I'm going to have to maybe look into that because a long time ago, in the early days of YouTube, I remember seeing a video that someone did about that. Lori Schnabel, Modern Pioneer, says, it has allowed me to do my temple work for them. Let's see, Janet Cripps. If you have visions, you don't generally share them. They are too sacred. Something about pearls and swine. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense that you'd be privy to so many details about the future that affect the entire world. And then you basically write it down, don't say who you are, and then make lots of money off it. I don't know. Melanie Hessler, visions of glory felt very wrong to me, so I trusted my sense. I didn't finish it. Amy Fulmer, same actually, but it put the fear in my soul, and I don't need that. That's why I love this channel. I'm glad that you get that out of this channel. I just, things are bad, but they've been bad. They've been bad. Um, this whole dispensation, we've had world wars, we've had the Cold War, we've had disasters. How many disasters have I covered on this channel? There's tons of them. We're talking about one right now in Turkey. But as you can see, you can still make it through. During the Great Depression, yeah, it sucked, but people still survived. So if something bad happens, a lot of people are afraid of like food shortages or chemicals or secret combinations and their plans and schemes and plots. God is more powerful than them. And we have the assurance that if you're righteous, the Lord is going to protect the righteous. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody is going to perfectly make it out of it. Okay, some people probably are going to die, get sick, get injured, whatever. But I feel like sometimes we give secret combinations way more power than they actually have because they're not stronger than God. And then if you take secret combinations out of the picture and you think about other things like natural disasters or whatever, I really don't think it's going to play out the way that some people like to portray it. And I think there are people that like to put fear into other people. They get a narcissistic supply, attention out of that. They like to scare other people, and influence people in that way. And it's stupid and sick and disgusting. And I hate it when I see that. Okay, so let's talk about some non-fantasy. I'm going to read through some miracles. I'm going to go to my miracles folder. In this folder, I have 43 emails. So it's going to take me a while. I'm not going to do them all now, but I want to kind of go one by one. First, let me make sure before I start the first one, I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'm just going to make sure that the person doesn't want to remain anonymous. So I'm just going to read it. Okay. Okay, this one's okay. So this is from Trevor Stevens. Hey, Jared, thanks again for your work on studying and researching. It's not a talent I have or enjoy, but I love listening and discussing what I've heard, learned, and what has been revealed or testified to me while discussing, listening, or studying. Keep it up and keep the way you do it as it is what helps me connect and learn with you. Awesome. Thank you. And you guys, that's why we got to share our talents, consecrate your time and talents to the Lord, because not all of us have the same talents. There's things that I'm good at. There's things that you're good at that I can't do, and so on and so forth. So we got to consecrate our abilities so that others can benefit. Okay, the miracle. I didn't recognize it at first, but in hearing the stories, I was prompted to review my life since October General Conference to now. I realized that I had a miracle, and it was right in my face. Yeah, so, by the way, if you're new to the channel, the reason why people have sent me a bunch of miracle stories is because Andrea, she's the one that has the channel Turning Hearts. In fact, while I'm thinking about it, let me put that in the chat right now. She's also, I think I put her on my featured channels. Maybe not, but I'll do that. I'll do that after this. Nope, I don't have her yet. Okay. Turning Hearts. So this girl sent me an email and she's like, you know what? I think you should reach out to your audience and people that have had miracles, have them send it in, because President Nelson, he said that between now and when Christ comes, members of the church, righteous members of the church, can expect privileges, blessings, and miracles. And so it'd be interesting to see if any of us have experienced that. And so that's what we're sharing right now. And that's what this person, I already forgot the name, Trevor. That's what he's sharing. Okay, so on September 8th, I tore my ACL playing pickleball. Sorry. Sorry, Trevor. Okay, I'm sorry that happened. Shout out to my fellow pickleballer saints. Be careful out there. I was okay. All right. I was able to get an appointment with a great orthopedic surgeon quickly, less than half the time of others, and get a surgery date of October 10th, same date as consultation with other doctors. I got the surgery. Everything seemed to be going well, and on the 12th, I had sudden dizziness, numbness, shortness of breath, and high heart rate episode. It was the first time anything like this had happened in my life. I've been fairly healthy my whole life with no vices other than various sodas. Haha. And I'm a fairly active person. I was raced to the ER in an ambulance first time as well and started to feel a little bit better on the ride. They checked everything with no idea what happened. Everything showed fine. I was sent home with the explanation that it was an exhaustion and effect of the surgery on my body. I continued on and progressed fine, started PT, and felt great. On my 2-week checkup, they aspirated or drew out 120 cc's of fluid from my knee to reduce swelling and help healing. They commented how that was very odd, as in way more fluid than usual, but did nothing with the fluid. That afternoon, I started feeling incredibly sick. I started running a fever, and it continued all weekend. My wife is a doctor and knows how to track everything and was on the verge of taking me to the ER multiple times, but we decided to tough it out. Monday, I went into the doc to have it checked, and they aspirated another 80 cc's of fluid. Again, way more than usual. But despite no outside indications of infection or anything to prompt a check, we pushed for the fluid to be checked. I continued with fever and sickness until Thursday. Then I finally started improving by myself. No results yet. Sunday night rolled around and my surgeon called me at 10 p.m. and said they found a serious bacteria in the fluid, and I was to have a PICC line put in and have an emergency-ish surgery the next afternoon to wash it out. Scrape any tissue with the bacteria on it out and check the integrity of the new ACL transplant. PICC line goes from my bicep to just outside my heart, to inject heavy antibiotics directly into my heart, so it doesn't damage the veins and can get the antibiotics pushing through the body. Second surgery went well. The infection was incredibly bad, infecting lots of tissue that they had to open up another hole to access the back of the knee. Oh my gosh, this is a warning horror. This is turning into a horror show. Fortunately, the ACL transplant was not damaged and didn't need to be redone. They spent about 2 to 3 times the anticipated amount of time on the surgery due to the amount of infection. They closed up and everything was good. Started the heavy antibiotics twice a day, every 12 hours on a slow drip that takes 2 hours each time to complete. They took my blood every 1 to 2 days to maintain the amount of antibiotics in my body, and the PICC line stays in my arm. Still in there now until next week. Sorry, I don't like that kind of stuff. Total of 6 weeks of heavy antibiotics through the PICC line. My surgeon and pretty much everyone with the med team downplayed the severity of everything, so I didn't think much of it other than the usual small percentage chance you can get an infection. Here's where it started to dawn on me. My wife thought about the whole experience and the antibiotics they had me on. She realized that they usually only give that to people who are close to sepsis or have bone infections, very serious. While I was running the fever, I could have gotten much worse and gone into sepsis or sepsis, I don't know, with no one the wiser. The results of the blood test that warned of a very serious and dangerous infection took over a week to come back. By that time, I was miraculously feeling much better, almost back to pre-fever days. Um, I was somehow preserved through my body's own abilities to hold everything off until we could get the right information and resources to correct the issue. I had felt prompted pre-surgery to get a blessing from my ministers and also another blessing in elders quorum. I look back now and recognize that the surgery was post October General Conference. So again, that's when President Nelson said, expect blessings, miracles, and privileges. The promptings and blessings were post General Conference. We don't know where the infection came from, but it was the most likely candidate for the extreme symptoms 2 days after the first surgery. It was the culprit of the severe fever and infection in the knee. My body was attacked severely multiple times over weeks, and it was sustained and able to fend off the infection. My wife stated that realistically, I could have died from an undiagnosed and unknown sepsis quickly. So that is the miracle, a pretty common surgery with a small percentage outcome of infection that ended up being a very serious and possibly deadly infection that was not presenting any indications that it was present. Everything seemed to be the perfect storm for the worst case scenario to play out, and for me to be one of the outliers in the data. God had other plans. He protected and sustained my body through an effectively invisible foe until help could arrive. I'm happy to report I'm feeling great, and improvement was quick and dramatic. My body felt so much better very quickly after the second surgery and start of antibiotics. I was able to start doing small work in my business and progress from there. Sorry that was a lot longer than I anticipated, but I think this process of writing it to you may have been more for me to really understand and review the experience. Feel free to condense what you need to fit your video. Jeez, tell me after the fact. Just kidding. Feel free to use my name. If you don't use it, that won't offend me either, as I believe its true purpose was to get me to write it out. If it's able to help others too, that's just frosting on top. Smiley face. So you see that, this is like a perfect example how something that could have gone wrong and maybe would have gone wrong, it would have happened if it wasn't for the blessing that he received and living a righteous life. Does that make sense? So we're probably going to still experience things like high egg prices or sickness. People got COVID and stuff like that. But until everything is said and done and we look back and we have 2020 hindsight, we probably aren't going to realize just how protected and how okay we were in that situation. Because when you're in the moment, everything seems all scary, right? You don't know what's going to happen. The future is uncertain. But that's where the adversary wants you. He wants you to be in a state of fear, because when you're afraid, you're easier to control. You can be manipulated. And I think that's a lot of times why secret combinations do what they do, or the way that they work is through fear. Because a lot of times when they want to accomplish some kind of goal, they can't just outright do it. And probably the best way that I've heard it explained was by a YouTuber that was kicked off of YouTube. I'm not going to mention the name, but he was saying how it's like when you're a parent and you're trying to get a kicking and screaming 2-year-old or 3-year-old into a car and get him or her buckled in. Well, you can do it the hard way, or you can use something like a lollipop, or tell them that you're going to give them something if they calm down and get in the car. And so secret combinations, again, like I said, yeah, they're powerful. They have different resources available that you and I don't, but still, life is life and systems are complex, and a lot of times they have to resort to trickery in order to achieve their goals. they're not as powerful as you think. That's how I feel. D Ward, you are an inappropriate laugher like me. Laugh out loud. The haystack funny. I locked up the church building the other night, and there were two guys with a every Wednesday 8 p.m. pickleball game in the cultural hall. You guys, what is pickleball? I've heard of it before, but pickleball. Oh yeah, duh. Pickleball, of course. It's like it's basically like tennis, basically. Okay. Ruth Tautua. I like this channel because people are very supportive of the prophet. I've seen otherwise on some other members' YouTube channels. Yeah. And, I don't want to comment too much on that, but they just, yeah. Just, okay. Anyway. I just have to be careful with what I say. I don't want to stir up the hornet's nest and get people all upset. The Russian says, has anyone seen the Philo Dibble drawing? I haven't. Sorry, I'm not going to look it up right now because I'm going to read another miracle. Janet Carlson, what?
We have to leave in 15 minutes before Jeans closes.
Oh, I actually have to leave soon, you guys. We have to get to a store before it closes. Where are we at with this stream? How long has it been going on? I started it at 7:17. Okay, so it's a little bit over an hour now. Have 135 people in here as of right now. Marie Wheeler listening from Northern Arizona, Tuba City. Welcome, Marie. J Synergy 8. Hi, I love your channel. Queen Creek, Arizona. Welcome. Becca, hey from Alberta. Hello. Janet Carlson says, my parents both died within 1 to 2 days of hospice. Yeah, I would have... Look, okay. I don't mean to be grim or disrespectful, but put in the chat, if you don't mind, how long do you think Jimmy Carter has? Do you think it's going to be... And just put it in this form. Do you think he has days, weeks, months, or years? But obviously, probably not years. But put in the chat. Let's see what you guys think. Days, weeks, months, or years. Sherry Johnson from South Carolina. All right, so we have... I'll just let them come in and then I'll read them. Valerie Be Mine. Hey, Jared. Hey again, Jared. So cold here in Idaho. I'm sorry. It's pretty cold here. I mean, it's not like the coldest. Right now it's 41 degrees Fahrenheit. For my international viewers, let's see. 41 degrees in Celsius. That's 5 degrees Celsius. Kelly Nichols, cold here in Indiana. Well, how cold is it, you guys? Put in the chat how cold it is. It can be either Fahrenheit or Celsius. It doesn't matter. So we got, okay, let me read what people are saying. So Ruth says days. JS Synergy 8 weeks. Janet days. Kelly days. Conrad soon. That wasn't one of the options, Conrad. Karen McCain days. Carrie Goodman weeks. Greg says hospice days, maybe a week. Marie Wheeler says I'd say 6 months for Carter. So it seems like out of those few responses, probably days take it. So I probably would have been more like weeks myself, but I don't have like a whole lot of experience with hospice. So I don't know. Laurie says a week or two. The haystack, inappropriate laughter we call chiggles, church giggles. When I was on my mission in the MTC, I don't know if this is like a common MTC occurrence, but like my class, like my I don't know what it was called. I guess it was like a class, or no, I guess it was a district. They had districts in the MTC, right? Well, anyway, my class, every single day in class we would start and end with a prayer, and for the life of me and them, it was so hard not to laugh. It's just something about like these 19, 20-year olds being together, 21-year olds, so immature, can't believe that they go on missions. And it was so hard not to laugh while we prayed. It was so hard. We were all under like a kind of a stressful experience. It's like boot camp for being a missionary. And I guess we all needed some relief, some comic relief. Did you guys ever experience that in the MTC? If you went on a mission, did you laugh during like in class, like during prayers? And it was so hard because we were all trying to be good. We were trying to be quiet and just be reverent. But those were some of the times that I laughed the hardest in my entire life. Valerie B. Mine went from -8 to 22 today. Oh, gosh. Jane O'Leary. Hi, Jane O'Leary from Pennsylvania. He has been a faithful servant. The Lord will take him in his time. Sherry Johnson. My daughter has been on hospice off and on for years. Most people are in hospice for 1 to 2 weeks. You know what? We have the internet. Let me find out what the average is. What is the average stay in hospice before death? Okay, this is from traditionshealth.com. How long do people usually stay in hospice? Most patients do not enroll in hospice until their time of death draws near. According to a study that was published in the Journal of Palliative Medicine, roughly half of patients who enroll in hospice died within 3 weeks, while 35.7% died within 1 week. Yeah. So that's okay. So we're I mean, I guess this one's kind of a no-brainer, but do you guys think that President Nelson will outlive Jimmy Carter? Put a yes if you think that President Nelson will live longer. Put a no if you don't. So Janet, 66 degrees right now in Sun City, Arizona. That's why most people move there when they're retirement age. Laurie, a week or two. Debbie Fifita, days, and 34 degrees in Utah. Glenda Wheeler, weeks, 33 degrees in Salt Lake. The haystack, the world is too small for Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden. They have the same amount of time. Amy Loria says Jimmy Carter, weeks. Kelly says 38 degrees. Jane says my father-in-law was in hospice for a year. Lori says 23 degrees in Wyoming with high winds making it 16. Ugh. Amy says 45 degrees in Ozark, Alabama. Oh yeah, you're the Alabama girl. Amy, were you the one that was thinking about moving to the Wichita area? There was somebody from, I swear, I think it was Alabama that was thinking about moving to Wichita. Are you that person? It's probably someone else. Grace Patterson, it's -2 Celsius or 28.4 Fahrenheit in Calgary, Alberta. It's mighty cold. Debbie Fafita, hi Glenda and Amy from Utah. Sherry, 55 degrees in Vegas right now. Nearly 60 earlier today. Alma says, my grandma has been on a hospice for a couple years now, still going, like the Energizer Bunny. Well, that's good. Hopefully she'll see the second coming and not have to die. That's what we're all hoping for, right? Alma says, my dad lasted a couple days. And then pretty much everyone is saying yes as far as President Nelson surpassing Jimmy Carter. Which obviously that would be, I mean, again, I feel like that would have symbolic implications. You know, that you have these really, like if you converted these people into their nations, so Jimmy Carter becomes the United States, Pope Benedict becomes the Catholic Church, Mikhail Gorbachev turns into the Soviet Union or Russia. Basically all these things like have their power for a long time, right? And then they end. But the church, symbolized in Russell M. Nelson, continues and goes on. That's why it would be perfect. That's why it would be perfect if the second coming happened and then he's translated and then he's one of the first ones at the age of 100 to be changed in the twinkling of an eye from being translated to resurrection, to being resurrected and not tasting of death. I feel like this is one of the reasons why we could reasonably expect the second coming to happen soon. I really think that it's President Nelson, just because all of the special things that go along with President Nelson. 17, him being the 17th president of the church, him being the longest living apostle or prophet in this dispensation, him being the one to announce the most temples, just all the different things that we've talked about on this channel. I feel like it's too perfect. Okay, I better go so we can make it to the store, unfortunately. So I'm not going to have a separate. Do you want to say hi? No, she's not feeling good. But she says hi. Jenica says hi. Yeah, so I'm not going to have a video for tomorrow. Just today, we came home from the mall in Barnes & Noble, took a nap. You know, I'm not feeling 100%. So it's easier to do live streams just because it's more impromptu. There's, you know, depending on the live stream, sometimes there's not as much preparation for it, and it's just talking. So thank goodness for live streams. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. So I hope you all have a good night. Get good rest this weekend. Have a good Sabbath day, and have sweet dreams, and take care. I'll talk to you guys.